Act 1. The offer. You answer a classified ad for a personal security position in Manhattan that pays 4 times what you're making now. The interview is in a townhouse on the Upper East Side that's worth more than every building on your block combined. A lawyer in a gray suit asks you 3 questions. Can you keep quiet? Can you follow orders? And do you have any family that asks too many questions? You say yes, yes, and no, and he slides a non-disclosure agreement across the table that's 47 pages long. You don't read it, you just sign it, because the salary is $200,000 a year, cash, and your landlord raised the rent again. Your new employer is a man named Mr. Wren, and the lawyer tells you that you'll never use his real name. Not once, not ever. You start on Monday. You wear a black suit, a white shirt, and an earpiece, and you stand by the front door of a mansion that has more cameras than a casino. Your name is Derek Hale. You're 31, ex-Marine, 2 tours in Afghanistan, and you think you've already seen the worst of what people can do. The front door has a camera that records every face that enters and every face that leaves, and that footage goes somewhere you'll never be told. The first person you let in is a United States senator, and he doesn't look at you because people like you don't exist to people like him. You haven't seen the worst yet, not even close. Act 2. The mansion. The mansion has 6 floors and more rooms than you'll ever be allowed to enter. On your first day, a man named Pavel walks you through the security protocols, and the most important rule is this: you see nothing. He says it exactly like that, standing in a hallway lined with oil paintings worth more than your life. You see nothing, you hear nothing, you remember nothing. There's a room on the 2nd floor that Pavel calls the office, but it's not an office. It's a surveillance center with 12 monitors showing every room in the house. Bedrooms, bathrooms, guest rooms. Every angle, every corner, every inch of the building is on camera, and someone is always watching. Pavel tells you that your job is to stand at the front door, check names against a list, and let people in without making eye contact. The list changes every day. Some names you recognize from television, some names you recognize from newspapers, some names you'll recognize from history books. You don't ask questions because Pavel already told you the answer to every question. You see nothing. On your 3rd day, a girl walks in who looks no older than 15, and you hold the door open and say nothing, because that's what they pay you for. She's wearing a school backpack and a dress that someone else picked out for her, and Miss Cartwright walks her upstairs without saying a word. You stand at the door, and you hear the elevator close, and you stare at the oil painting across the hall, and you count to 60, and you forget what you just saw. That's the job. Forget in real time. Erase the last 30 seconds from your brain before they become a memory you can't delete. Act 3. The guests. The guests arrive in black cars with tinted windows, and they never use the front entrance when the street is busy. You learn the routine. Mr. Wren calls ahead, Pavel checks the cameras, and you open the side door on 71st Street, where there are no security cameras from the city. The guests are men in expensive suits who carry nothing and leave carrying nothing, but something about them changes between arriving and leaving. They walk in with confidence. They walk out faster, eyes down, phones already in their hands, calling drivers to pick them up immediately. You count the girls. You can't help it. It's the Marine in you that counts everything. Threats, exits, bodies. Some weeks there are 3, some weeks there are 7. They come in through the service entrance with a woman named Miss Cartwright who smiles like a real estate agent showing a house. Miss Cartwright is polite, organized, and terrifying because she treats the whole thing like a logistics operation, and she's very, very good at her job. The girls leave with envelopes, cash, $200, $300. Some of them come back the next week. Some of them you never see again. You stand at the door and you hold it open and you say nothing. And every night you drive home and sit in your car for 20 minutes before you can walk inside your own apartment. Act 4. The Island. In month 3, they fly you to a private island in the Caribbean on a plane with no commercial markings. The island is beautiful in the way that a Venus flytrap is beautiful, bright colors hiding something that dissolves you from the inside. There's a main house, guest villas, a pool shaped like a crescent moon, and a blue and white striped building on the hill that nobody explains. Your job here is perimeter security. Walk the beach, watch the dock, log every boat that approaches within a mile. The guest list is shorter here, but the names are bigger, and the NDA you signed suddenly feels less like a contract and more like a leash. You see things on the island that you can't unsee, and that's the point, because once you've seen them, you're complicit, and complicit people don't talk. There's a steel safe in Mr. Wren's office that requires 2 keys and a code, and in 18 months, you'll never see it opened or closed, just locked. Pavel tells you the safe contains insurance, and when you ask insurance against what, he just looks at you and walks away. At night, the island is so quiet, you can hear the ocean from every room, and the silence feels like it's watching you the same way the cameras do. You find a trapdoor in the main house that leads to the sea through a tunnel carved into the rock, and you don't ask why a man on an island needs a secret exit. The blue and white building on the hill has no windows and a padlocked door, and when you walk past it at night, sometimes you hear music playing inside. You stop walking past it. Some doors are designed to make you curious, and curiosity on this island is the most dangerous thing you can carry. Act 5. The realization. The moment it hits you isn't dramatic. It's a Tuesday afternoon in the Manhattan kitchen, and one of the girls is crying at the service entrance. She's 16, maybe 17, and she's holding her envelope, and her mascara is running, and she looks at you like you're the last adult in the world who might help her. You open the door. You say nothing. She walks out into the street and disappears, and you realize that you are not security. You are infrastructure. You are part of the machine. You are the door that opens and closes, and the machine doesn't work without you. That night, you go home and you open a bottle of bourbon and you sit on your kitchen floor and you try to calculate how many girls you've let through that door. You stop counting at 60 because the number after 60 is a number you can't live with. You think about calling the police, and then you remember that 2 of the names on the guest list are the police. You think about calling the FBI, and then you remember that a man with an FBI badge visited the mansion last month and left through the side door like everyone else. You are alone with what you know, and what you know is worth more than your life and less than your silence. You drive to a bridge at 2 a.m., and you sit in your car, and you stare at the water, and you think about what it would feel like to not know anything anymore. You don't jump, not because you're brave, but because you're a coward. And cowards don't make decisions. They just keep opening doors. Act 6. The cage. You try to quit in month 8, and Pavel takes you to a room you've never been in and shows you a photograph of yourself opening the side door for a guest. Then he shows you another photograph of yourself standing in the hallway while a girl walks past you toward the stairs. Then he shows you the NDA you signed and points to the clause about criminal liability, and he explains, calmly, that leaving is not one of your options. You're not an employee anymore. You're a prisoner with a salary and a black suit and an earpiece. The money keeps coming, $200,000 a year, deposited in cash into an account you can't explain to the IRS. You buy things you don't need because spending money feels like proof that you're getting something out of this, even though what you're getting is a cage. Your ex-girlfriend calls and asks why you stopped returning her messages, and you say you've been busy, and she says you sound different. You are different. The man who walked into that townhouse for an interview 9 months ago doesn't exist anymore. He was replaced by a door that opens and closes and sees nothing. You catch yourself calling the girls appointments in your own head, and that's when you know the machine has finished building itself inside you. The language of the mansion has colonized your brain, and now you think in their vocabulary, not yours. Act 7. The arrest. It happens on a Saturday morning in July. Federal agents in blue windbreakers surround the mansion at 6 a.m. You're not there. You got a text from Pavel at 4 a.m. that said, "Don't come in today," with no explanation. You watch the arrest on television from your apartment in Queens, and your hands are shaking so badly you can't hold the remote. Mr. Wren is let out in handcuffs, and for the first time you see his real name on the screen, and the whole world is saying it at once. The news anchors use words like trafficking and conspiracy and decades, and each word lands in your chest like a round. Your phone rings. It's a number you don't recognize. You don't answer. It rings again and again and again. You pull the battery out of your phone and you sit in the dark and you wait, because waiting is the only skill you have left. The FBI calls your landline the next day and asks you to come in voluntarily, and the word voluntarily has never sounded less voluntary. You don't call a lawyer because every lawyer you can afford already knows that you can't afford what's coming. Act 8. The interview. The FBI interview room looks exactly like the rooms you've seen in movies, except it smells like burnt coffee and floor cleaner. 2 agents sit across from you, and they already know everything. The mansion, the island, the guest list, the cameras, the girls, the envelopes. They don't need your confession. They need your cooperation. And cooperation means names, dates, and descriptions of faces you were paid to forget. You give them everything. Every name, every date, every girl you remember, every guest who used the side door. One agent writes. The other watches your face. Neither of them blinks. You describe the surveillance room with the 12 monitors, and the agent who's writing stops and looks up and asks, "Where are the recordings?" You say you don't know, and that's the truth. But it's also the answer that determines whether you walk out of this room or stay. They let you go with a phone number and a warning. Don't leave the city, don't contact anyone from the organization, and don't talk to the press. You walk out of the FBI building into the August heat, and the sun feels like a spotlight designed specifically for you. Act 9. The death. 3 weeks later, Mr. Wren is found dead in his cell, and the official story is suicide, and nobody believes it. You're sitting in your apartment when the news breaks, and you feel 2 things at exactly the same time: relief that he can't talk, and terror that someone decided he shouldn't. If they can reach him inside a federal detention center, they can reach you inside a studio apartment in Queens. You change your locks. You stop going to the same grocery store twice. You vary your route home every night. The FBI calls and says your cooperation is still needed for related cases, and the word related means the names on the guest list, the names that are still walking free, the names that own newspapers and corporations and have security details of their own. You start sleeping with the lights on because the dark feels like a room with 12 monitors. Someone slides an envelope under your door with no name on it and $10,000 inside. You don't touch the money. You call the FBI. They send someone to collect it. Nobody explains who sent it or why. You realize the envelope is a message, and the message isn't the money. The message is that they know where you live. You pack one bag that night and you leave your apartment and you never go back, and everything you own fits in the trunk of a car you bought with cash. Act 10, the after. The trial never comes for Mr. Wren, because dead men don't stand trial, and the names on the guest list hire lawyers who make the evidence disappear. Some of them resign. Some of them get arrested years later. Most of them keep living exactly the way they were living before. You testify in a sealed deposition that takes 11 hours, and when it's over, the government attorney thanks you and says your identity will be protected. Protected. The word almost makes you laugh, because the people you're being protected from have the resources to find anyone on the planet. You move to a city you've never been to before. You change your name. You get a job at a hardware store. Your new neighbors think you're quiet and polite, and nobody asks why you check the locks 3 times before bed. You don't drink anymore because alcohol makes you remember, and remembering means the door, the girls, the envelopes, and the sound of your own silence. Sometimes at night you hear a door close somewhere in the building, and your whole body locks up like you're back in the hallway on the Upper East Side. You think about the girl who was crying at the service entrance on that Tuesday afternoon, the one who looked at you like you were the last adult who might help. You opened the door, you said nothing, and 20 years later, that silence is the loudest thing in every room you enter. The world got 3 million pages of documents. You carry the pages they'll never print. You were paid to see nothing, and now you can't stop seeing everything.